Although the ego has been thought of to be the enemy of the soul, it actually helps us create and maintain our boundaries, our sense of where we end and others begin. This strength allows us to open to spiritual vision. Properly developed, the ego grows, but then empties itself, becoming the container that can house the soul without threatening mental, emotional, or physical collapse. Carol S. Pearson, Awakening the Heroes Within. Welcome to Self-Talk. I'm Rachel Astarte. Thank you for being here. This season, we've been talking about building your foundation of self, exploring the parts and paths that lead us to living a stable, meaningful life, not only for our personal benefit, but as a contribution to collective consciousness as a whole. Today, let's introduce a concept we all know well, the ego. More specifically, the underdeveloped ego. We've referred to it as the small s self. The underdeveloped ego often manifests as the voice in your head that questions, criticizes, and sometimes downright sabotages your intentions as you live an awakened life. Here's the thing. The underdeveloped ego is not your enemy. Consider it more like a phase. It's part of your growth. Today, we'll look at what it is, how it shows up, what it's afraid of, and most importantly, how we can help it grow or develop into its true purpose as the container of the soul. That's a heavy job, and we're going to cover that too. So, what exactly do I mean by the underdeveloped ego, or as Carol Pearson also refers to it, the primitive ego? The underdeveloped ego, or small s self, or primitive ego, is the part of us that sees itself as separate from pure consciousness. Because of this sense of separation, it is fragile and constantly in need of outside validation. The primitive ego clings to our roles, our titles, our dramatic narratives, and it's always asking, am I enough? Do I belong? Am I safe? That's a really important question. It is said that all human suffering originates with the belief that we are separate from Source. Well, this makes sense. If you believe you're not connected to Source, things can get very lonely and make you paranoid. You know, it's all me for me. It's me against the world, right? You have to find your place. So the primitive ego is always grasping for safe ground, but it never finds it. There's always something not right that needs attention. How many times have you felt something like, as soon as I feel like life is going well and I relax a little bit, something happens and all my inner work goes out the window, right? That's the poor little underdeveloped ego making sure that you still need its protective services, the ones that keep you on your toes. This ego is not bad. It's simply incomplete. It hasn't yet learned its true job. So here's how the underdeveloped ego shows up. When the underdeveloped ego is running the show, it tends to present like this. Negative self-talk, right? We've talked about that. The talk that's like, you're not good enough. Who do you think you are? That kind of thing. That can lead to impostor syndrome, which is another way the underdeveloped ego presents itself. That constant fear of being found out as a fraud. It shows up as anxiety, the sense of needing to control your surroundings in order to feel safe. Remember, anxiety is a fear of something in the future that may or may not happen. There's no purchase to that on that ground. You can't get there. There's nowhere to go. So, of course, that's very anxiety-provoking. And depression. And that is the ego's collapse when its defenses simply cannot hold up anymore. So the underdeveloped ego is often the voice that comes up in meditation, at work, and in everyday moments when we want to step forward into a new way of feeling or thinking or behaving. In short, when we're walking the talk of our inner work. The small S self starts whispering, "Don't do that," or "You can't do that. Stay small, stay safe." Now, wouldn't it be nice if we could be born with a sense of connection to pure consciousness such that our ego would naturally grow and develop, empty itself, as Pearson says, and become the container of the soul naturally? Well, guess what? We were born that way. Uninterrupted by rules and roles foisted upon us, we may very well have developed our ego naturally, but that's just not how life works. The Buddhist bodhisattvas are hard at work lifetime after lifetime to free others from suffering so that we can all achieve moksha, but until then, this is what we have to deal with. Sorry. So what, you may ask, is our underdeveloped ego so afraid of? Obliteration. Our primitive ego fears that if we awaken to our true essence, that we are pure consciousness, it will die. You might have heard the term ego death as something to strive for example, in psychedelic journeys or work with entheogens. It's like that. The small S self, the underdeveloped ego, does not want to die. Because of that fear, the small self resists our awakening fiercely. And this is where the negative self-talk really kicks in. If its deepest desire is to stay vital, to stay in charge, it will say anything to keep us small. That may sound like, if you try that, you'll fail. Or you're too old, or you're too young, or you're too inexperienced. Other people have already done this better. Who do you think you are? On the surface, it sounds like guidance, like protection. But in reality, it's fear speaking. And what do we do with fear? We bring it closer. We listen. Many of my students and clients ask this beautiful question. How can I tell the difference between the voice of the small s self and the capital S self, the highest self, the one connected to source? Simple. The small self voice limits. It holds you back. It is almost a no in some way, right? You contract. You can feel that contraction in your body. No, you can't do that. The highest self, by contrast, always has our growth in mind. Its messages elevate us. Its voice encourages expansion, even if it's gentle. It says, yes, try it. Yes, learn. Yes, do it even though it might be uncomfortable or scary. That's okay. And your body senses this as well. You feel open and lighter. Hi, it's Rachel here. If you'd like to dive deeper into self-development, but you're looking for an alternative to traditional talk therapy, maybe you want to eliminate self-doubt and begin to live your true calling in this life. Maybe you're looking for community and connection. Then the Write Yourself Open program may be perfect for you. For a full year, we meet bi-weekly for guided meditation, reflective journaling, and group discussion. This isn't just another personal development course. Write Yourself Open combines the best of individual therapy, group therapy, creative arts, and spiritual practice. You'll have access to a private podcast of all the guided meditations so you can work with them whenever you want. You'll also get monthly one-on-one sessions with me for personal support, not to mention that community of like minds. Those aren't actually all the perks you get, so visit writeyourselfopen.com to learn more and to register. Join anytime. You don't have to have any previous meditation or writing experience. That's writeyourselfopen.com. Now, back to the episode. So how do we work with this fearful, underdeveloped ego? First, as mentioned, we bring it closer. We listen without judgment to what it is telling us. Then we offer reassurance. We don't push it away. That never ends well. It only reconfigures like a plasma monster and it comes back at us another way until we get the message, right? The ego is not the enemy. It is a necessary structure for being human. The ego helps us to remember our name at cocktail parties and not walk into oncoming traffic. It lets us know that we exist in the world. So what we're aiming for is not its destruction, but its transformation. Instead of trying to destroy it, we can speak to it gently. You are safe. You don't need to disappear. You don't need to die. You only need to evolve. The evolution of the underdeveloped ego is, naturally, the developed ego. The developed ego becomes a balanced self that harmonizes our human identity with our eternal nature. I'm going to say that again. The developed ego becomes a more balanced self. It connects us with our very human self and with our eternal nature. It's the part that walks in this body, in this life, and is also connected to pure consciousness. So instead of stinging from that separation from source, from pure consciousness, and protecting its little kingdom like Gollum protects its precious ring in The Lord of the Rings, the ego becomes a bridge between our fully human life and the vast field of pure consciousness, both of which exist within us, always have. You might remember our discussion of Osho's concept of the ideal man being Zorba the Buddha, someone who experiences fully all of the aspects of human life, but is also rooted in the eternal or divine nature of all being. In its developed form, the ego then becomes the container of the soul, in that it doesn't allow us to go flitting off into a woo-woo world of spirit, but neither does it allow us to be trapped in the petty dramas of human suffering. It can simply support us in living a fully human life while remembering we are also more than human. Here are a few ways you can begin to develop your underdeveloped ego. 1, awareness. We've talked about awareness before. Simply notice when the small s self is speaking. Name it. That's the voice of fear, for example. Another one is dialogue. When we say bring it closer, we bring that voice, that feeling closer, and have a conversation with this voice. And you can do that through journaling or even talking out loud. I'm a huge proponent of talking to yourself. It's very, very helpful. Make that fear state its case. Listen to it like you're having a nonviolent communication dialogue, right? And then you offer that reassurance we talked about. Compassionate reframing is another way to help develop your underdeveloped ego. Remember, if the fear is loud, it means growth is happening. You're getting closer to perhaps transitioning to a new way of being, and that's really scary. The underdeveloped ego, again, fears that you don't need it anymore. The primitive ego freaks out when it senses change, so bring that fear closer compassionately. Like I almost envision a hug. Oh, come here, right? And then integration. Bring moments of your highest self-awareness into your daily life through stillness, through creativity or connection with nature, just being present, and let the ego learn that these moments are safe. Now, there are benefits to living with the developed ego. When we live with an evolved, developed ego, these benefits ripple in every direction. We have greater inner peace. We're no longer at the mercy of that criticism or even praise. We have more authentic relationships, and we respond instead of react. We have confidence that isn't performance-based, but is actually rooted in truth, your truth. And we have a freedom to live from essence while still being fully present in our human life. This is what I mean by a balanced self, grounded yet expansive, human yet divine, both at once. So to recap, the underdeveloped ego is not here to be destroyed. It's here to be nurtured into maturity. When we reassure it, we work with it, and we allow it to evolve, it becomes the bridge between who we are as human beings and who we are as eternal beings. This week, notice when your small self starts speaking up, and instead of pushing it away or judging it, try offering it compassion. Bring it closer. Remind it that it is safe, that it doesn't need to vanish, that together you can grow. If you'd like to dive deeper into this foundation of self-work, I invite you to join us for Write Yourself Open, which is an ongoing class. We meet the second and fourth Tuesday of every month at 1 p.m. Eastern, and we use guided meditation, writing, and community to reconnect with who we truly are. The groups are small, so you're not going to just be another face in a sea of Zoom boxes, and you'll get personal, non-judgmental attention whenever you share. You can learn more and register at www.writeyourselfopen.com. There are packages. You can join for 3 months, you can join for a year, or you can just join us for one session. And pop over to my Substack to say hello, which is called Foundation of Self. You can find that at rachelastarte.substack.com. And in thanks for your listening today, I'm offering a 3-month paid subscription. Just visit rachelastarte.substack.com/self-talk. The paid subscription has a lot of perks. You will find more personal and intimate posts about my life and my own journey to self. Those guided meditations that we have from Write Yourself Open, which are generally on a private podcast, are accessible to you as well to use. And of course, there are more opportunities to work together privately. And I will add the links in these show notes. As always, until next time, be gentle with yourself. Hi, this is Rachel Astarte from the Self-Talk Podcast. I'd love for you to send me your emails with questions or stories about yourself. What are you looking for? What are your questions? What are you grappling with in your own personal life that has to do with your identity, with yourself, with your very existence? These are the things that we're going to talk about during the podcast. And go ahead. It's all right. Get deep. I can handle it. So send them to Rachel@selftalkpodcast.com. And I'll see you on the next episode.